Hello. So, what's been going on? In the everyday, the spiritual, the dreams, the insights, and working it all out as we go along. So, a friend recommended watching a thing on BBC called Waiting for the Out, and it's about a man with OCD who teaches philosophy in a prison, and there's a lot of complexity around everybody's kind of histories. I just wanted to share a couple of things. At one point, he explains what he does and whether he thinks he makes any difference and what the point of it is. And he says that people like to think, they enjoy thinking, it makes them feel like human beings, and that everybody enjoys this. Even people who other people might judge wouldn't really take to it. Like some people might be judgmental that philosophy isn't going to go down well in a prison. People who don't know, I guess, and think, oh, that's more for universities or what have you. And he says they like it, and all people like it, even people who you think might not, or some people think might not, and it makes them feel like human beings. And it was agreed that that was very important. So I liked that. And I also liked, there was a bit, there's a real tearjerker bit where somebody reads The Very Hungry Caterpillar to their child at home. And it was good at, it was good at triggering or showing some of those emotions that people who work with people sometimes feel or often feel. And although to me it was obvious that it was acting, and it lacked some of the chaos, I guess, of everyone talking all at once. The emotions, that was good. And so what I wanted to think about was, I thought the other day, well, if my job, and I don't mean just at work, is to process the emotions of others, I'm not saying it always is that, but sometimes it is to process the emotions of others, then I need to make sure that I have ring-fenced time to process my own emotions, or to process that through me, rather than so in the moment with someone you might be processing or taking in and then helping with their emotions, but then there's got to be a time outside where I'm just on my own, where I can kind of, I don't know, recalibrate myself. So this is what I've decided this year, is to be both more and less sociable. So on my quiet weekends, I'm not going to really arrange hardly anything social. All the social things are going to be on the weekend where my husband is around. That way I have the potential for 2 days, or 2 big chunks in both of those days in a row, Friday and Saturday, with which to do whatever I want, whether that be sleeping in, spending all day in a dressing gown, whether that be in exercising, whether that be, and the main thing for me really is doing something creative, because all the other things I can still do anytime. But to be by myself, like being creative and doing the deep. So that's kind of what I'm going to do, and what I thought was necessary. And it's also about that thing of building yourself a bigger boat. That if you need, you need more ballast, or you need like to offset and balance the demands on you by extra things to help. So there's that. And dreams. I had a dream a couple of nights ago of unfed animals, and that's something that I always used to have a lot and hadn't had for ages. So it's like, with this one, it was like a dog, and I had a dog, but inexplicably, I mean, it was still alive, but inexplicably I hadn't been feeding it any breakfast or dinner, and had just been going away and not looking after it, and like I just couldn't work out how. I couldn't remember how to give it its breakfast, or how I'd done this, not given this animal any tea or just left it for a few days. And I used to interpret this as neglected creativity. And then I thought about it more literally. I was like, is it neglected family? Is it neglected friends? And then I just thought today, for being brave about it and being strong, I'd say it's kind of, neglected potential, that sometimes I do have a feeling that I've got more potential and that perhaps I'm stronger and could stride forward with more confidence than I do. And that I keep forgetting that, and to remember. And then this morning it was just like dreams to do with work and stuff just washing through me, like emotions washing through me. And so I got up and I made videos, and in a little while I'm going off to physio, and then I'm going to a kind of beginner's circuit class. And so yeah, doing all the things, I guess, building the bigger boat to help. And I just wrote some notes so I didn't forget. Another thing that I remembered was thinking about, when you have friends, you don't have to agree on everything in order to like each other. You can be very different, but you care about them and you listen to them talking about things. You might not agree with it all, or it might not resonate with you. And this came up again at work, because we were talking about things and people who eat meat and people who don't. And I thought I'd missed a trick to say, because it would have been a good thing to say, is that we don't have to agree on everything, or to be the same, or to feel the same about everything in order to like each other. And that sort of quite deep point would have been quite good to make. And so I might go back next week and make that again, because linking on to what I said earlier, making the deep philosophical points isn't only for people who you think are going to be, like everyone potentially can be open to those points. And it's good for work to show to people that, we don't all have to be the same. We can still like each other and we still find a connection. So there was that, like repeated lessons, repeated insights, having those a couple of times. And then one of my favourite things at the moment is listening to the Taylor Swift album Life of a Showgirl, and kind of imagining whether I could do a sort of spoken word redone version of either Ophelia, which is like really meaningful to me, as I think I've said before, or Wish List, which is also meaningful, but I would change some words, and instead of saying have a couple of kids, it'd be like have a big ginger cat, and instead of we tell the world to leave us the fuck alone, is we tell the world to wrap around us, and it does. And that is another lesson for me about this year, or another thing I'm trying to take forward, is to be both more courageous and more vulnerable. So I shared something with all my colleagues at work yesterday that I hadn't told them, and then though it's embarrassing, especially when people hit reply all and go, oh yeah, if you want to talk about it, that's embarrassing. But you can't control what people do when you tell them things. But what was nice was that somebody offered to help me with something, and I thought, well, there's not actually a reason. It's not like I'm busy that morning and I could do with the help. So I didn't accept it at first, and I was just going to write back and say, well, it's business as usual at the moment. There's no reason why I can't do that day. And then somebody else rang up and said, I'm going to bully you and say to you, you should accept that offer of help, because you haven't even had a chance to get ready for it. You don't like doing it. That other person, they love doing that kind of thing. Let them help you. So so I did, and that was nice. And then outside of work, we shared a bit of vulnerability in a group, and other people all shared vulnerabilities as well. And it was just that lesson, really, to remember to phone people, and to don't think, oh, well, they've probably got some better people that could phone them, or they've probably got some friends that aren't so old, or they've got some friends that they know better. And because somebody actually said to me, oh, well, I always think when I phone someone up that they'll think, oh, God, what are they phoning me for? No, or they were interrupting me. And it was like, oh, my God, everybody thinks that. And it was also nice watching other people make connections, and to people who said they'd been sad, one of them said to the other, oh, do you want to go out for a drink? And it's like completely different kind of ages, and because we're all part of the community together, and it was so nice. And it remained, I was able to be kind of vulnerable. I mean, I sat and cried a bit, mainly about other people's things, because it's so much easier to cry about other people's things, or people that are a little bit one step removed from you, not your significant other. So yeah, and to share that vulnerability and to share about, that it's nice when people phone you, but also that in order to have a good friend, you need to be a good friend. So that is my intention for this weekend, to pick up the phone to my mum and to a friend and to my neighbour and just do some checking in. And yeah, and maybe we'll just end with just a small emotional check-in. And how do we do that? Well, I guess we first of all draw our attention in, like we would for doing any kind of relaxation or meditation or mindfulness. We focus our attention. On how our body feels. Our jaw, our hands, our gut, our shoulders. Being aware of any tension. And what it tells us about ourselves. And how our mind feels. Is it busy, 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 planning, rushing, wondering, churning, chewing over something? Where is the center of our emotions? Is it in our heart, in our heart chakra? Is it in our solar plexus and our gut? Is it in our shoulders hunched up against everything, afraid or closed? Or is it open? It's like, okay, I'm fearlessly vulnerable. And what does that mean? And how do I even begin to tell people how I feel? And how do I tell myself? And if we close our eyes, what word rises to describe how we're feeling? My word is tender, as I guess it often is. And there are a lot of tools for this. There's an emotions wheel that you can look at and you can think about where you are and the words, whether they resonate. Or you could just sit for a moment and listen to the seagulls and just check in without trying to change anything. And wherever we are, that is where we are. No judgment. How we feel is how we feel. What we do is up to us, and it's our responsibility. It's okay just to be quiet and just to ask ourselves how we feel. Sometimes, like I said, our body might tell us. Sometimes our mind. Sometimes we can get a word or an intuition. Sometimes sometimes we might want to explore a bit further. Okay. I guess, to be continued. Okay, take care. Bye.